Okay, so I'm just gonna be speedrunning like the whole guide. So first you want to download it. Like you can go to godotengine.org. I already have it downloaded, so I'm not gonna do it. But download it and then open it here. And then once you're here, you can click create a project, and you can name it whatever you want, like amazing project. And you also want a folder to put your game in, so it's organized. I already have one, but you can just like do new folder and then like Godot games, and then put your project in the folder. And as for render, do mobile. Then you can click create. And then basically this is a home screen, so over in the middle, this is like the viewport. So if you're making a 3D game, like you'll see all your game objects here. We're doing 2D, so we're using this. And also you can see there's this purple rectangle, that's the game view. So if you put something outside of it, then when you run your game, you won't be able to see it. Also there's script, which is basically the coding. And then over here on the right is the inspector, so like the properties of all the nodes will be here. There's a file system, so like images or scenes or like audio files and folders, they'll all show up here. And then finally up here is like the scene, so you'll see all your nodes. And nodes are basically like game components. So we're gonna make our first node, and we're just gonna use a general node. So, wait. Okay, I think my mouse is broken. I'm gonna open this one really quickly. Okay, so do other node, and then just select the general node with the white circle, and this is gonna be the base node for everything. So name it main, and then you can click save, so like Command S, and you can save it here, and you can see that it just showed up in the file system. Yeah. And now we have to make our player. So under main, click plus, and also the short key for this is like Command A, and we are gonna use a character body 2D. So like there's tons of different types of nodes for basically anything, but for the player, this is the best node to use. So do create, and then you can rename it player, and we have an error, and this is because we can add a collision shape 2D. Basically, it makes it so the player knows like what. Okay, so basically we need to make a collision shape 2D, and that's the boundary, so like the player knows where to fall. So under player, just create a new node and choose collision shape 2D. And also, we can't see the player right now, it needs an image, and there's a node for that, it's called sprite 2D. And we're gonna add like an image, so you could search up an image and like pick whatever character you want, or you could draw it. But for now I'm just gonna use this default image. And also just for reference, if you want to add images to the file system, all you have to do is like drag it here, it's really easy. And then you have this image here, and like if you wanted to make your player this random goat, then you would just drag it. Oh wait, no, on the sprite 2D you would just drag it to the texture, but that's kind of weird, so I'm just gonna use the default texture here. And then you can also adjust the size of it. So this purple square is the viewport size, so I'll make it here. I think this is a good size. And then also we want to add the collision 2D shape 2D size. So under shape, once you have this selected in the inspector, do new rectangle shape, and then here it's popped up, and then you can like cover it. So yeah, make sure that it's covering the player. And basically that's our player. So now you have to make the map. So you need to make the ground and everything. So there's a node for that. It's called tile map layer, and basically it makes it easy for you to draw maps with like different tiles and things. So once you've created your tile map layer under main, you wanna in the inspector do new tile set, and then down here make sure you have tile set selected and not tile map, and then you can add an image here. So like there's a lot of different random tile sets here. You can pick anyone you want, or you can just like do a random image, but you want to drag it into whatever image you're using into the file system, and then you can just drag it here, and then if it asks you, you want to click yes. And we're actually just going to use like a default for now, just to make it easier, since this is like for beginners and stuff. So I'm just gonna use this random green image. Okay, and then you can see it created this box, and that's one tile. And if you have like big images, it'll have like a lot of tiles, and each one of these will be one of these boxes. So now you have to make a collision shape for the tile set. If you don't have it, then the player will just like fall through the floor basically. So once you have this selected in the inspector in tile set, click this. You want to make sure it's not here. It's a bit hard to find, but you open this and there's all these settings. And under physics layers, you want to add an element, and then basically you made a collision layer. And then in tile set, you can change the paint and click physics layer 0, which is the one that we just created, and then you can select it. So like if you have multiple, make sure you select all of them so they're like tinted blue. And then you can click save and start drawing your map. So how you do that is you go to tile map here, and then you have all these different settings like drawing or like lines, and select one of these, and then you can draw it. You can draw your map. But it's a little small right now, like just compared to the viewport. So if you want to change the size of each tile, you can go to the inspector, and under transform there's a scale setting. So I can change it to 3, and then it'll be bigger. And then you can draw like any map you want, basically. Something like this. Okay, so now if I run my game, running it is you can use this play button or Command B. It'll probably ask you to do this the first time, so do select current, and then yay, game, except nothing is happening, and that's because we need to add a script to the player. And script is basically code. So once you have player selected, use this scroll with the plus thing, and then you're gonna attach a script, and these settings are very important. For language, just use Godot script, which is like the built-in one, and then make sure the template is probably gonna come unchecked, so you have to check it and make sure you're choosing character body 2D, and then you can just create it. And now there's some code here, and if we run it, then it technically works. You can use space to jump and the arrow keys, but like this movement is like not very satisfying, and it can't even jump to this ledge. That's because like the code is very not ideal, so we're gonna change it. But first I'm just gonna explain like basically how this code works. So basically the first line connects it to this node. So if you didn't have this line, if you deleted it, like it wouldn't know what this code is referring to. And then we're making two variables, const, that stands for constant, and it basically means this variable won't change throughout the whole game. So like if you wanted to add a point system or add a life system, you would not use constant because those values would probably change. But in this case, speed and jump velocity will be the same throughout the whole game, so we're gonna use constant. And speed, like this is pretty self-explanatory, like how fast the character moves. Jump velocity is how high it jumps, and this is negative because in Godot the like coordinate system is a bit weird, but basically the higher you go, the more negative it is. And this point is like 0, 0, so negative 400. And then this is like the main function, so the physics process, and this move and slide basically runs it. And delta is, it's like the time between each frame of the game. So like for different computers, they'll have different frame rates, but delta makes sure that the speed of the player is the same on all computers, like even if the frame rate is different. So yeah, and then this is gravity. So if the player is not on the floor, if it's in the sky, then you're gonna fall. And velocity, this is basically gravity. In project settings, there's gravity, so it gets it, and then it's moving, so we're gonna use delta, and then it adds up. So the longer you fall, the faster you fall, basically. And then jumping, this function is basically if space or enter is pressed and the player is on the floor, then increase the y, so like vertical, by jump velocity to make a jump. And then this is for moving right and left. So this, if it's left, if you click the left key, then this will return -1, and if you click the right key, it'll return 1. So basically direction will either be -1 or 1, depending if you're clicking left or right. So if you're clicking like left or right, then you'll move horizontally in direction at speed. So if it's left, then you'll move left at speed, and if it's right, you'll move right at speed. And if you're not clicking left or right, then this line basically makes the player slow down. So yeah, it makes it move towards 0, and then this runs all the code. Okay, so now we're gonna make some adjustments to this code. So first, we're just gonna make it a lot faster. I'm gonna change the speed to like 800, and I'm gonna make the gravity 900, but like these values can change however you want. Like if you're doing a frog or something like that, then maybe it'll jump higher. And also I'm gonna change the gravity. So if you go up here to project and project settings, and then if you search up gravity in 2D, right now it's at 980, but I'm just gonna make it 2500. And now if I run the code, like it jumps a lot better, and the movement's like a lot more snappy. But one problem here is we can't use WASD, and the inputs like aren't very customizable. Like the up arrow doesn't even work, and that's because we're using these default ones, which aren't very good. So we can make our own input map and like customize which keys will do what. So if you go up to project and project settings, and under input map, you can add different actions. Like I would have jump, right and left, and then for each one you can add keys. Like for jump, I want space to be to activate it, up, and like the W key. For right, I'll add like D and right key, and left, I'll do A and left key. And then once you have this, you can close and just change these with the names you called it. So this would be jump, this would be left, and this would be right. And now if you run it, then you can use WSD or up arrow or space or whatever you added to your input map here. And like one final adjustment to the code is to this line, which this line makes it stop. So like right now, if I'm moving, it stops very suddenly. And if you want to change that, you can change this value. So like 8, I guess. And then you can see that the player is sliding. So like if you were making like a game like on ice or something, then you could change this value because the player is sliding more. Okay. And now we're just, I'm just gonna extend the map a little bit. So wow, you have this whole map, but the problem is, okay, I need to just adjust this map again because the player can't actually go there. Okay, so this level design is a little questionable. So now we're here, and my player got here, but now it's gone. What do you do? Basically, you add a camera to the player. So the camera right now is just fixed on this screen. So when the player moves, like the camera doesn't move with it, and the level ends when the player gets to the end. So all you have to do is here, do add a camera. And also there's like a cool effect that I like to add called position smoothing. And this is like the speed that the camera follows the player at. So if you make it really slow, like 1 pixel per second, wait. This is a bit weird. Okay, wait, yeah. So also, don't forget you want to drag your camera to the player, so the player is in the center of the camera. So here. So if I'm moving, you can see the camera is like moving very slowly after it. So I would probably want to make it faster. I usually like to do like 7 or 8. But if you're like making a very fast-paced game, then you probably want this value to be higher. And yeah, you can adjust like any of these values to be however you want it to be. And yeah, that's basically the basics. And after this, you can customize it like however you want. You can like have your own image for this, the player or the tile sets, or you can add a cool background. You can add like sound effects and stuff. There's like on the website, I have a page with like a bunch of ideas. Like you can add coins and enemies and things. And there's also like a lot of really good videos you can use. But once you've customized it, for submitting it, make sure you'll have to have a link for your game on itch.io. Itch.io is basically a website. It has like a ton of games, and also you can upload games. So on the website, there is a tutorial on how to get your game on itch. And also one more thing that you'll need if you want to submit your project is a GitHub link for it. And also on the website, there's a link for that. And then, yeah, once you're done, you can submit your project. Yay. Okay.